Hello everybody, we just finished watching the 9th episode of the Chainsaw Man anime, and being that it is the 9th episode, we are going to be talking about it for the 9th time. You ready, Jaden?
Absolutely. I am 100% ready.
Because we have Jaden here. He's currently preoccupied. He was playing some Pokemon Violet, right? And his Switch is now not cooperating with him. So he's trying to mess with that. So he may be out of this for a little while. He's trying to get his Pokemons ready.
Don't worry, I'll have my feedback because this episode's garbage.
Alrighty. So housekeeping stuff. This episode is titled From Kyoto. That's a really bad episode title.
Yeah.
Like, there's more stuff that could have been way better. Oh, there's a Coca-Cola truck. What in the world? We filmed these in my school parking lot. Yeah. So
just to give you a little insight into American school culture, you got the Coca-Cola truck rolling up.
Yeah, I don't even know why that's here. So pretty much this chapter covers the rest, or this episode covers the rest of chapter 25 up to 28. So it's about 3.5 chapters. You okay, Jay?
It's the Ed Sheeran song.
Oh. Well, we're not turning it on. I'm not getting DMCA.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to it either.
Pokemon and Chainsaw Man. Oh, jeez. So this episode starts off with Himeno stuff again, right? We see her last moments again.
Yeah.
This wasn't really needed.
This is a very common way for animation studios to fill out their 30-minute time quota.
It's meant for the one reason for Himeno to grab, and Himeno and the Ghost Devil to grab Denji's ripcord to start him up again, right? But it's not really needed here in the episode, right? Yeah. Pretty much, Chainsaw Man's back up, the Katana Devil's there, Katana Devil and Denji fight.
Right? They played again 100 million centimeter-long blade.
But this time it had the audio with it.
I felt it was a little cheap to add it this time again.
Last time, it didn't have the audio, right? I think this time, if it didn't have the audio, and it was just the sound track of it, it'd be fine. But the actual, words being sung, I just don't think it worked too well.
I think using it again kind of cheapens it a little bit. Like, for instance, in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, there's this one scene at the end of Part 6 where they play Jotaro's theme again, and it's a very untimely moment for it, and it just feels cheap.
But there's other places where this works, like in Hunter x Hunter, during the York New City arc. There's this moment where all of your characters are in a train station, right? And there they play the opening, right? That works brilliantly well, right? And in our anime, like Dr. Stone, while during a montage towards the end of the episode, they play the opening Good Morning World again, right? That works, but just here it doesn't. When right after the song happenings, we get the opening Kick Back by Kenjiro Suda, right? And after that, we get back to the rest of the episode, right? So pretty much we see that Satuari, this girl who has the Snake Devil, pretty much her contract this time was she gave up a nail for using the Snake Devil, right? And we pretty much see her like, okay, hey, all teams report in. Can we talk to you? We need to figure out what's going on, right? We've captured Denji. Everybody's dead, right? As they keep fighting back and forth, right? Denji and Katana just trade blows, right? Eventually, it's a fight scene, not really a whole lot to note.
Well, I think this fight scene was done very well. The CG in this scene looks really good. And I think that some of the dynamic camera movements they had going on, I say camera movements, but, you know, the viewpoints, I think worked really well. I honestly think that this fight was actually quite well executed.
Yeah, I think it was quite well executed. I still don't understand why the Katana Devil has to be CG.
I think it's because of that blade. Whenever the head is what gets it.
Turning
that head is so detailed and very perspective focused because the blade looks different in every frame.
Yeah, but still, it's just... I understand Denji. Denji 100%, right? He's also your main character. But it doesn't really stick for me, right? So Denji and Katana fight as they keep on fighting, right? Eventually, Denji takes one of these guys as a hostage. He holds him up and he's like, hey, you want your friend murdered, right? As the Katana Devil takes that stance as he goes and slices through our main character and this guy.
Very, very anime-y. You know,
he just
slices
Denji straight in half, right? At this point, I really like since Denji has like the chainsaw thing on his head, like the handle, right? The Katana just picks.
They just grab him by the handle.
They just pick him up by the handle. I'm like, all right, let's get to the car, right? And at this point, we see that the Katana Devil's mask oozes off.
Yeah, similar to how the Chainsaw Devil or Chainsaw Man, his like melts off in the first episode.
Yeah, it's very interesting to how it just like doesn't like fade, but it's like actually there and it just like melts. It's very weird, right? At this point, we do a very hard cut to around the entire city of Tokyo here, where we see like Arai is dead on the ground, right? And we see a bunch of these other characters who are just dead, right? Whole bunch of people shot dead. We see Himeno, who of course is a pile of clothes. We also see Makima is dead.
Yeah.
Right? And then these guys on the train who had shot Makima are like, all right, we did it. Let's report back into the big boss. As they turn around and Makima is standing back up behind them.
It's almost kind of a jump scare. Like, I've read the manga. I know what happens, but I've heard a lot of people said they were just surprised by seeing it.
Yeah. But Makima's alive here, right? We cut to the Kyoto station, which is, of course, where Makima was headed. And we see these two devil hunters there, right? Kurose and Tendo. Right?
I sure hope these guys stay plot relevant.
They actually do.
Okay.
These guys actually stay, at least one of them stays plot relevant, right? Pretty much they're waiting there on the platform as somebody comes up and is like, hey, a bunch of people got shot, Makima is apparently dead, right? They're like, oh, so we're just wasting our time here? As the train pulls up, right? And pretty much it's very hard to explain this. Makima walks off the train covered in blood, right? And at this point, Kurose and Tendo are like, oh no, you're all covered in blood, right? Like, did they get you? And she's like, no, this isn't my blood. As we cut to the train where these assassins have got like massive holes in them.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. They look really strange.
Well, no, it's not that they like are off. It's just that these holes are blasted into them.
But yeah, they're like huge though, and they're perfectly circular.
Of course, I know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to spoil anything from my Ozen Experience series, but it's just these guys are down the ground with these massive holes, right? Very much Makima's doing, as we can tell.
Yeah.
Right? At this point, Makima's just like, it's not my blood, in a sort of cool line, I guess. Right? Makima, Kurose, and Tendo are walking down the street.
And one thing she says, did they shoot you? No.
No.
Just straight up lied to him.
Yeah, no, they didn't shoot me. It's fine. But Makima doesn't have any blood on her face, and the blood on her clothes is gotta be these people's.
Yeah.
Right? At this time, where are we? Oh, yeah. So Makima's walking down the street with Kurose and Tendo, right? And they're talking, and she's like, hey, they're probably after Denji, right? And I like how Kurose and Tendo don't even ask who Denji is.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay. And Makima asks Kurose if he can get 30 convicted criminals with at least life sentences. And she asked Kurose if she can get a change of clothes and for her to rent out the closest sky shrine to the area.
We also have a nice ass shot right here.
Yeah, as Makima's changing.
Yeah.
And it's very suggestive.
This entire show is.
Well, yeah. Worst part of Chainsaw Man, I've gotta say. Right? And at this point, we see these convicts are all eating their final lunch, as we see, right?
Sandwiches.
Right? And as they're driving to this place, and they're like, where are we going? And the police are just like, hey, you don't have any right to talk. As we get to this shrine, where we see all of these convicts are laid out in rows, right? They're all blindfolded, and we see that Kurose and Tendo are in the background all blindfolded, right?
Yeah.
Makima goes up to one and asks them, hey, can you say this name? And they say it. Makima starts to do these really weird hand signs. And at this point, we cut over to where Denji, Katana, and Satoari are, right? Denji's dead in his Chainsaw Man form, obviously, and there's a few thugs trying to take him to put him in the back of a van, right? And Katana and Satoari, they're just like, oh, hey, what's going on, right? And at this point, one of these dudes isn't listening to anything, right? He's sort of standing there, and he's like, oh no, I don't feel right. As he gets compressed into a pool of blood.
This is very cool animation, and the fact that they can make this and censor the barf scene still pisses me off.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But we pretty much cut over as we see a bunch more of these guys being completely destroyed as Makima's doing her hand signs, showing that this is Makima's doing, right? And Katana and Satoari are like, fuck, that bitch, she's still alive, right? They're like, ah, shit, right? And they're all like, move, we gotta get out of here fast. What are we gonna do, right? And at this point, we pretty much cut around, hostages are taken, and all of these low-rank criminals are all dead, right? And at this point, all of these convicts are just dead. Because it's a trade-off. Makima can kill people far away with his power, but one of these guys has to die.
Again, it's one of those things about Chainsaw Man where they just have random-ass things out of nowhere for the sake of having random-ass things. Makima's power is just... it just exists.
It's a mystery.
Yeah.
It's truly just a mystery. We know what it is, but it's a mystery, right? Pretty much at this point, they're all like, crap, what are we gonna do? As Makima's just like, hey, Satoari, or not Satoari, hey, Kendo and Kurose, or not, Tendo and Kurose, right? Hey, you guys can take off those blindfolds, right? And she's like, that's all that can be done from here, right? At this point, we cut back to Katana and Satoari, who are the only two of these criminals left, and they're just like, oh no, hey, what are we doing? Okay, Jade, I'm sorry. I'm looking, what did you just do?
I'm just standing here. I'm sitting here.
No, but you had your Switch with Pokemon Violet open, and you just took out the cartridge. Yeah. Did you save?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just looked over and I'm like, are you an idiot? Are you a moron?
I saved it, yeah.
Okay.
I'm somewhat of a genius, okay?
Okay, so Satoari and Katana are just there like, oh no, what are we going to do, right? As we see Kobeni walks up. And Kobeni is just looking pissed off, right? We see her perspective of how Arai died. Arai took a bullet for her.
Yeah, so
she jumps around to the granny, aims the gun up, shoots the granny, and then goes and hides.
So once again, if they can animate a woman literally killing herself, where's the barf, man? You know, I'm still pissed. But I like how in the anime we hear the 2 gunshots going off. You're like, oh man, Kobeni's dead. Nah, Arai just got shot twice.
Yeah, and then Kobeni shot the old woman, right? And then we see Kobeni just being a badass, right?
Yep.
Going to pretty much save Denji from all this.
She finally uses the sloppy blowjob devil.
Jay, at this point, Kobeni runs around, does some stuff, fights, and eventually, in a really cool thing, she uses Denji's chainsaw head as like a shield.
Yeah, she just holds him up because they're not going to shoot him.
Yeah.
They're not going to kill him.
Yeah, it just works. It's just really cool, right? And pretty much at this point, Satoari and Katana are just like, okay, we've got to run. We've got to go. Kobeni pretty much cries and has a panic attack of, oh, no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And she makes this note of, I've got it. Next time I see Helmeno, I got to tell her I quit.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Right? Back in Tokyo, we see Makima there with Kurose and Tendo, right? Madoka, one of the guys who didn't get murdered in this thing, is here, right? And he is pretty much, he gives a report of like, hey, all of this is going on, bunch of gunfire happened. Makima, all of the divisions will be, everything that's left of public safety will be put into Division 4, and Division 4 will be under your direct control, right? Control.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Right, and then he hands Makima his resignation letter, right? And then as Makima, Kurose, and Tendo are walking away, what's his name? Madoka says, hey Makima, how much of this did you predict would happen? As she says one of my favorite things ever, right? I can't say that to a private civilian. I guess it's really cool.
Yeah.
Right? It's that sort of, hey, the Coca-Cola truck's leaving. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right. And at that point, pretty much Makima says to Kurose and Tendo, hey, you two should stay around in Japan and be with my legion that I'm now in control of. And they're like, no, I'm not going to, as we get the ending deep down by Aimer.
Yeah. I noticed Makima mentioned something about the foods to die for, and that's where it ends.
Yeah, and that's really the end of chapter 20.
By the way, Power was in none of this.
No,
she was just gone.
Yeah, she just disappeared. So
the ending. Or let's talk about the ending first.
So what do you want to say about it?
It was fine. It's actually sung by the same people who, or the same woman.
Oh,
who
the
did,
ending theme.
Yeah,
I
ending
thought we
theme.
were talking about the ending in general.
Oh no, the ending theme.
Yeah, ending theme.
It's sung by the woman who did the Entertainment District art for Demon Slayer.
Yeah, the opening, right?
Yeah, opening.
I've not watched that opening. I haven't watched Demon Slayer since the movie, but
okay.
to be honest, the first time I listened to the ending, it wasn't too good. But then after like going back to it with a clear mind, it's pretty good.
It's fine. The animation's all right. I think that the one in the last episode was the worst so far.
Yeah.
And this is maybe the second worst. Because it has to do a lot with Himeno.
Yeah, but she's dead.
It probably should have came an episode early.
Yeah. It seems like we've had a lot just roped around Himeno, right? I understand this is the only portion of the series she's in.
Yeah.
But, I don't, yeah, it's one of those things. The episode in general, I don't mind the content of it, but...
I feel like, how many chapters did this cover again?
3.5.
Okay, I was about to say, it's the least, like, I feel like there was not a lot in this episode.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, the whole big thing is just the mystery of what Makima is doing, and that all of these gang members are dead.
Yeah, and how she's still back, and how she's back.
Yeah, and that's really it.
But overall, this episode was fine. It was better than last episode.
And I really think that we're doing this a disservice by explaining it how we did. Like, I don't think I've explained it well here this episode, but it's just something to where it happened.
It's one of those episodes where there's not much to talk about.
Yeah,
I mean, besides Makima coming back,
and what there is to talk about is stuff that, like, there's no hard to see revelations. Like, in the My Hero Academia chapter reviews, there's some confusing shit in there, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I gotta explain that and do stuff like that. But here it's like, pretty much all of this you can gather yourself.
Yeah.
How this mysterious power of Makima's work. She tells this convict to say names, she does some fucking hand signs, they're dead, and the convict's dead.
So
there's not a whole lot to speak
I also noticed they reused a couple shots with the when they showed off the temple. They used that shot twice.
Did they?
Yeah, which whatever. So,
but as a casual viewer, going to recognize that.
I mean, I'm a casual viewer, and I did, but
I don't think you are.
Yeah,
I think you're. Yeah.
I think that this episode didn't have a lot of content, also because once you factor in the opening and the ending, and the fact that a good 2 minutes of it was just recap, that doesn't leave a whole lot for actual content.
Yeah, it's about 17 minutes.
And the Chainsaw Man versus Katana Devil fight took up a good amount of that time.
Yeah. And I mean, we've got 3 episodes left to resolve this entire situation. They can be done, and I think they're going to end off on a certain point, and if they do, we've got about 10 to 9-ish chapters left. So that'll be fine.
I think they'll end off with a certain character being introduced.
Oh. I think they were just going to end with balls. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
We'll see.
So,
right.
Alrighty.
But overall, what would you score this episode?
7.
I'm slapping it with a 5. It was fine. It was
fine.
Okay.
Yeah. That's really what I've got to say for it. And in that case, this will be Glowplasma231 out with Chainsaw Man.
One more thing. I forgot to mention. This episode didn't really build a lot of hype for next episode, which is what all the other episodes have done before.
No.
So, but yeah, that's all I have.
Glowplasma231, Chainsaw Man.
See ya.
Right, see ya.